What up, YouTube? Lord Houston, known as LTH, coming at you with a video. 713 in Space City, we in the building. So, now that the Houston Texans are coming off a 44-10 butt whooping against the Baltimore Ravens, in victory-wise, and now they're going on a bye week, just want to put my 2 cents in on what my thoughts have been about the Texans, during the first 5 weeks of action. Yeah, 2-3 is better than being 1-4 going into the bye week. Still under 500 for sure, and third, while being 2 games out of the AFC South, with Jacksonville and Indy both being tied for first place, with each being 4-1. Though, Houston, could be winless going into the bye week, or 1-4 at second worst. While also, this team could be, 4-1, locked in the three-way tie for first with Indy and Jacksonville, or even better, 5-0, while being on top of the AFC, not only the AFC South, but also in the AFC Conference. Number one in the AFC instead of Indianapolis. But there is a reason they're not. So there are reasons behind why they're not 5-0 as of right now, while sitting at 2-3. So what have I learned, the first 5 weeks of action? The offense is, starting to slowly wake up. Especially the offensive line is starting to, gel a little bit better. Yeah, they still got to work on their communication, from time, it does tend to suck from time to time, compared to the first 3 weeks of the season. The O-line was still same old crap from 2024. And other than that, yeah, they starting to gel a little bit, despite that blunder, which led to Jeffrey Simmons sacking Stroud. If it means Simmons could, getting the fastest sack in the NFL. Ed Ingram and Laken Tomlinson, if I'm not mistaken. But the defense, still legit. They got shredded at times, through the run and pass. But also, they were still able to, give the offense a chance to win games, which they didn't do the first 3 weeks of the season. And, I also learned that, that D'Amico Ryan's not calling the defensive plays, starting to have worked out the last 2 weeks, since Mac Burke has been calling the plays. And hopefully, that continues going forward, which I'll be okay with. I will have no complaints, just as long as the defense continue to, apply pressure as far as creating turnovers and sacks, which always matter. And it all starts with an effective pass rush at that, making opposing offenses uncomfortable. And of course, I also learned that, Joe Mixon, still not fully ready to come back and play, which hopefully is supposed to get another update in 3 to 4 weeks, which actually is a month from now. Though I wouldn't be surprised if he happens to come back in December, which reminds me of the Christian Harris situation, which leads me to say, Christian Harris and or Damian Pierce could be on the move, by the deadline, to a team that could use either running back and or linebacking help. But though I wouldn't mind keeping Christian Harris for depth reasons, just in case, an injury in the linebacker core happened to occur. So, but as far as Damian Pierce, yeah, I appreciate what he did in his rookie campaign, but hasn't done a lot since. So I wouldn't be shocked if he happens to be on the move and go ball out somewhere else. Like I say, I enjoyed what he brought in his rookie year, but hey, he deserves more playing time to a team that needs more running back help for sure. And and of course, C.J. Stroud happened to win AFC Player of the Week, because of the performance he provided against Baltimore. And yeah, I understand the Ravens are banged up. And yeah, I was aware that Houston was 0-8 going into that game. And yes, I'm also aware that Stroud has yet to score a touchdown going into that game, either through the air or on the ground. But then went on to throw 4 TDs and almost could have had 5 TDs total, including a rushing, had he stayed in bounds and kept his balance. But it is what it is. But it still don't erase the fact that Stroud happened to ball out. So, which is another thing I learned, that Stroud's restarting to regain his confidence. Thanks to the O-line protecting him a lot better recently. So, but I always understand the NFL is not guaranteed. So, yeah, Houston's on the bye week, and the trade deadline is right around the corner coming up. And if Houston can make an effective move, or Cade Stover, could be on his way back, along with the Nico Autry and Jalen Reed. It'd be nice if they play, but nah, let them sit out this game. So I see those guys coming back in that Seahawks matchup, and hope to see Cade Stover return too. I know Dalton Schultz is quietly having a pretty good year, bounce back year. Though just need to, rack up the touchdowns a little bit. That's all there is to it. But hopefully, it'll be nice to see Cade Stover return. And yeah, I'm aware that, Irv Smith and Brevin Jordan are out for the year, which is, a pain in the butt. Though additional tight end depth would have helped had those two not endured injuries. But, you know what they say, gotta move on, and next man up, as they always say. So, what do I like to see after the bye week? If I can name at least 3 things I would like to see the Texans do after the bye, keep the same consistent energy on both offense and defense. And of course, Stroud, must remain confident. Stroud in that offense, regardless of the opposing defenses they go against. Starting with Seattle. And of course, the running game has got to continue getting better and better. I would like to see 100-yard games from both Chubb and Woody Marks. Let them do their thing, at least until Joe Mixon come back. And of course, most importantly, stay healthy. Stay healthy. Because the injury bug is, mid or late season is a pain in the ass for sure. And of course, the Texans endured that, both 2023 and 2024. For example, starting with Tank Dell, a season-ending injury week 13 of 2023, and of course a season-ending injury week 16 versus Kansas City. So, which means he won't probably play until next year. So, I would prefer Tank Dell coming back in 26 at full strength. That way he should be good to go come week 1 of 2026. So, and also on the defense, got actually both offense and defense, stay disciplined, continue limiting the penalties and the negative plays that the opposing defense is going to try to create. And of course, Nick Caley got to continue, and the offense got to continue spreading the ball, because you can't go around being predictable and expect to sustain drives effectively and consistently, because knowing there's a tough stretch of games coming up too. You got the Seahawks. They lost a heartbreaker to Tampa, but doesn't change the fact that they're no slouch at all, because Seattle's got some talent. You know, and they're gonna have to play against a Sam Darnold guy who has yet to lose versus Houston. You know, because the last time we played against Sam Darnold, Texans pretty much got beat up. You know, week 3 of last season against the Minnesota Vikings. So, starting with the Seattle Seahawks, and then a good San Francisco 49ers, who's not afraid to get after the quarterback on the defensive side. A good defensive coordinator in Robert Saleh. And of course, you got to see Kyle Shanahan go up against the D'Amico Ryans in the head coaching battle. So, in which I'm looking for, you know, in the game that Houston's going to be wearing the H-Town color rush. You know, week 8 and then week 9, you know, 3 home games back to back for sure. They play against a good Broncos team that went into Philly and stunned the Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field, courtesy of a come-from-behind win. And then, of course, after that, Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. You got to see them again, but this time in H-Town, you know, to try to avoid the sweep, you know, courtesy of that 17-10 L, because the last time Houston was swept by Jacksonville was back in 2017. The year that Jacksonville, you know, went on to that AFC Championship game with that stout defense and damn near beat New England. Which would have raised a ton of eyebrows. Yeah, I know it's the past. It was back in 2017 campaign, 2017-2018 football season, and it's 2025 now, and 2025-2026, but still wouldn't erase the fact that Jacksonville nearly beat New England would have raised eyebrows. But yeah, tough stretch of 5 games coming up for Houston. If they can win at least 4 of those 5, though it'll be nice to win all 5 of 5, you know, 5 straight tough games. But if they can win at least 4 or 5, it could truly give him an idea of, you know, how serious this Houston Texans team is. Though I would recommend them win all 5 of them, because this Seattle game will tell you what needs to be known about the Houston Texans. Now, does that mean I'm going to get my hopes up? You know, nah, because I truly believe in keeping it humble and 1 game at a time. Because I refuse to be cocky and egotistical like some of these other Texan fans. Yeah, it's cool to have confidence, but being overconfident, not so much. So, yeah, you know, Houston stands at 2-3, and hopefully they can continue recovering from that slow start they had. Because last time they went on 3, they ended up winning 9 straight and securing the playoffs with an AFC South crown. Of course, going 1 and done against a red-hot Colts team when Andrew Luck was playing. But, you know, can this Texans team continue to recover from the slow start? Hey, only time will tell, and it all starts with the Seattle Seahawks come week 7 on Monday Night Football. So, there's that. Till my next video, Lord of Houston checking on up out of here. 713 to Space City. Always and forever, go Houston Texans. I'm gone.